The 2021 Antrim Senior Camogie Championship will come to an end this weekend when Loughgiel and Dunloy battle it out in Ballymena for the right to be crowned county champions. Loughgiel have made these games a bit of a habit and will be looking to win their 8th successive county title, while Dunloy will feel like they've made a bit of a breakthrough with wins over their neighbours in the league and the group stage of the competition. Let's take a look at how the teams got here. Loughgiel started their campaign with a 7-25 to 2-point win over Randalstown and then followed that up with a 1-11 to 10-point win away to Ballycastle. Cuchullains were defeated 7-15 to 3-6 before they lost their final group game to Dunloy by a solitary point. In the semi-final, they beat Ballycastle 4-13 to 9 points, which meant over their 5 games they scored a total of 1978 and conceded 342. Dunloy started their campaign with an 11-point to 7-point win over Ballycastle. Next up was a 4-18 to 2-7 win over Cuchullains before they won by 15 points to 14 points against Loughgiel. In their final group match they beat Randalstown 3-23 to 2 points. They played Cuchullains in the semi-final last weekend and won 1-16 to 6 points in a huckle. Overall they scored 883 and conceded just 236. From those statistics, Loughgiel have outscored Dunloy by 28 points, but Dunloy's defence have conceded 9 points less than their rivals. The 19 goals in 5 matches scored by Loughgiel's forward line is an incredible statistic, which shows not only that they have an extremely potent attack, but also a great degree of confidence in their own ability to not just settle for a point, but when the opportunity comes around, they're happy to go for goals. Dunloy don't seem to blow their opponents away to the same extent as Loughgiel, but having a tighter defence could mean that in a game where the top two level sides go head to head, they'll have the edge, which is exactly what happened in the group game as they managed to restrict Loughgiel to 14 points when their average across the other 4 games was just over 30 points per game. These two clubs deserve all the respect in the world. Loughgiel are really flying the flag for Camogie and Antrim. They're going for their 8th successive county title, had 14 players in the Antrim panel that won the Intermediate All-Ireland title, but for me an even more remarkable achievement is the sheer number of players that they're putting out at all levels. Not only are they producing huge numbers, but they're winning matches. There are loads of clubs and cities across Ireland that wouldn't be fielding 3 Camogie teams, yet you have a small village in North Antrim fielding 3 teams, and more than that, they're all in the county final at their respective grades. The junior team play St John's Belfast in their final just before the senior game in Ballymena with the 12 PM throw-in for that one, while they're also scheduled to play Rossa in the intermediate final. This isn't the first time they've done this, and it's a great credit to their club that they're playing and promoting the game in such a way. Similarly, you have Dunloy, another small village just a few miles away from Loughgiel, and while they have had to sit back and watch their neighbours lift title after title in recent years in the Camogie, they've been doing much the same in the men's game. The Dunloy Hurlers have won 3 Antrim titles in a row and 4 in 5 years. Going further back, they've now won 15 Antrim titles since 1990, when they won their first. That's just under half of the total titles, which at any level is an excellent return. Additionally, they're also operating as a dual club, and their men's footballers also reached an intermediate semi-final this year. The Camogues now look ready to start getting in the act, and they'll feel like when Loughgiel's era finally comes to an end, they'll be the team to pick up the mantle. They had 4 players in Antrim's Intermediate All-Ireland starting 15, and they were also well represented in the Antrim team that won an All-Ireland at minor level. Whether it happens on Sunday or not remains to be seen, but there's little doubt that the next few years will see a lot of big matches involving these two sides. Rather than just listen to me talking about Sunday's game, I thought I'd invite some other voices to have their say on what will happen. I contacted a number of players who played in this year's Antrim Senior Championship against these two teams to see what they felt would be the difference on Sunday. Mostly the players didn't want to say too much between having friends in both teams and not wanting to go on record as the teams look so tightly matched, but I did manage to get a couple of players to give their predictions. They did ask to do so anonymously, and obviously I wouldn't go against their wishes, but I can say that they both played in this competition and played against the finalists. Our first guest said, being on the losing side to both these teams this year, it's hard to call. Both teams have savage forward lines. Dunloy are definitely within touching distance of the senior championship, and having beaten Loughgiel in the round robin, their expectations will be high. However, I think Loughgiel's sheer experience and the depth of their panel will see them over the line for another year. Our other guest said it will no doubt be an entertaining and competitive game, and although Dunloy's team have a lot of young fresh talent, I think that Loughgiel's experience of county finals will give them the edge. They will be looking for revenge for the league defeats and have a panel who thrive on performing on the big days. Personally, I find it quite interesting that both guests have given similar opinions and that they recognise Dunloy's progress but think Loughgiel will still be ahead of them on Sunday. And to be honest, it's very much the narrative going into this game. Loughgiel are the team to beat and have all these titles under their belt, but there's no doubt that this Dunloy team are emerging as one that are very capable of knocking them off their perch. Do Loughgiel still have more titles in them? Is this a year too soon for Dunloy? Some key players. So Loughgiel are very strong in the forward areas. Katrine Dobbin has been outstanding in the championship with 7-13 so far, and I was really impressed by Annie Lynn against Cushendall. Against Ballycastle, Raquel Murphy was superb, scoring 3-1, and I was very impressed with Roisin McCormick playing a bit deeper than her usual spot at corner forward. She's just been named as a nominee for the Intermediate Players Player of the Year, thanks to her exploits with Antrim in the summer when she finished as top scorer in every match as the Saffrons won the championship. As ridiculous as it sounds, a forward scoring a lot of points, many of which are from frees, can sometimes be criticised as being a bit one-dimensional. Roisin McCormick is absolutely not that kind of player. Last Saturday she was incredibly consistent, taking the ball in hand first time, which given the conditions wouldn't have been easy, and she was hard to read in that sometimes she played the ball into the corner early, and on other occasions she ran straight at the heart of the Ballycastle defence. Last year she scored 2-9 in the final against Ballycastle, and Dunloy will be well aware of the threat she carries. Probably the only way to deal with her is to try to cut the supply off into her, as once she gets the ball she can strike from pretty much anywhere or turn and run, and there's not many players who'll be able to keep up with her once she gets going. On the other side of the ball, Maria Lynn has enjoyed an excellent year, while Shauna Devlin and Charlene Campbell also put in excellent performances against Ballycastle. Dunloy's biggest threat this year has come from Nicole O'Neill. She's been in excellent form in the championship and has amassed a total of 36 points in Dunloy's run to the final. Next best has been Anya McGill, who scored 5-9. McGill has really burst onto the scene this year, and there's no more decorated Camogie and Antrim than her this year, having played key roles in both the senior and minor successes in the summer. In that minor final, she was superb, but it was her younger sister, Breed, who won player of the match. While Anya will be looking to score, Breed will be at the other end of the pitch facing up against Loughgiel's talented forward line. There she'll be joined by Chloe Drain, who was another of the Antrim Intermediate champions. Kiva Conlon and Aileen McManus will be very important in the middle of the pitch, while another of Antrim's All-Ireland minor champions, Cassie MacArthur, will be key at the heart of the Dunloy forward line. It's hard to predict the outcome of this match, and I honestly don't think there's much between these sides, and the fact Dunloy have had a couple of wins over Loughgiel might make my usual argument if you have to lose one to win one redundant. That said, how can you go against a Loughgiel team that repeatedly finds ways to keep winning? The hardest title a team will ever win is when you're already the champions, and to keep winning them time and time again is remarkable. One thing I have noted in the build-up to this game, between talking to players and supporters, is there's a mutual admiration for each other. I've seen Loughgiel people recognise the young talent that Dunloy have, and I've seen Dunloy say that they know wins in all other competitions won't count for much come Sunday. I quite like both sides of that, and it says to me that nobody's underestimating their opponents and nobody is going into the game thinking it's a foregone conclusion. As a neutral, that's perfect, and it should lead to a good game. I won't be making a prediction for the final, nor will I be going to the game with a preference for either side. Ideally, we'll get to see a great game between two good sides, and I can say that regardless of who wins on Sunday, the next time they step onto the field as Antrim champions, I'll be 100% behind them as they try to win the Ulster Championship, and maybe even more if all goes to plan.